let's say, and then we can't get the other hardware for it, and then we switch because supply chain issues and just issues along that line. And a lot of times what we find is, because technology is always getting better, it's almost day by day, that sometimes what we get approval for, we wind up coming back to update because we're going for the same amount of kilowatts, but the site is actually smaller. We make it smaller because the panels don't take up as much space, or the racking systems are different. So generally, something this size would probably be in the neighborhood of, maybe 3,000 panels, depending on the particular equipment we're using.
Now, once again, is that 3,000 in two sites or in one site?
So when I'm just talking about one site.
Okay, which
It
one
would be
is?
the same. It would be the same for both sites, the numbers.
Okay,
but
so it would
wouldn't-
be 3,000 on Secaucus and 3,000
Yes.
on Hanscom School?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to see if I can find the exact number for that.
Excuse me.
It's 3,000 panels, right?
Yeah, he's talking about panels,
Yeah,
yeah.
panels. And the panels sit on a tracking system that actually moves. It follows the sun, so it moves slightly during the day instead of just being stationary. These particular systems actually look a lot better than a lot of the ones you'll see, especially the ones you'll see on the state DOT right-of-ways. A lot of times, they're just fixed panels that sit there. Sometimes they look like they're going to fall over. These look much better. So, because our site now is much smaller, I'll give you some of the numbers. And so this particular one, these numbers pertain to, let me just, which site I pulled up first. The Hanson School Road Solar,
Okay.
all right? So. Sorry, I just had it up and I moved it and lost it. There we go, okay. Okay, so for this site, our total developed area of the site is going to be 0.96 acres.
0.96?
0.96. So that's the developed area, that's where the panels are going to sit. The whole occupied area, meaning the area that we're going to clear with the trees, is 12.92 acres, because you can't have the trees right up against the panels, because then there'd be no sun on the panels. So the big area that's going to be cleared is 12.92 acres. The area that you're actually going to see panels in is 0.96 acres.
That seems like a lot of land to have to clear for less than an acre of panels.
It's because the trees are tall
They're
and
very
the
tall
shading.
trees.
That's why.
Okay.
So they run these studies, and that's what they do.
Yep. And you own all this land
Yes,
currently?
yes. And, a lot of times, too, what you find on a lot of these sites, there's a lot of dead trees, too. So this prevents trees from falling, doing anything. And the other part of it, too, is, God forbid there's ever an issue. We've never had an issue, and I've never seen one, but let's say there's an electrical fire, it's not going to spread to the trees. So that's another benefit with having it set back a little bit. Our fenced-in area, the area that our fence is going to go around, is 9.66 acres. So we're fencing in a pretty large area.
9.66?
Yes.
Will you be excavating the stumps?
Yes, yep. All the stumps come out, so the land will be flat. We're not taking any dirt from the site or anything, but we would be pulling stumps out and just leveling off what's there.
The one on the Hanscom School Road?
Yes, yes.
Speaking of Hanscom School, can you refresh me on, if I don't recall where the site sits, if there's housing in the immediate area, like across the street or abutting?
There's one across the street,
There is one across the street?
Yeah.
You can see it right there.
and then Taylor lives down on the river, but he's the one who sold him the property, so.
Okay. Do I have it? Just a minute.
If you look at the civil plans on
Yeah, yeah,
5.01, you can see,
okay. Yep. The reason I asked that, let's all stay on the same page, please, guys. The reason I ask that is that we like to ensure that, I know the site plan was approved, but we like to ensure that the abutters are given protection from having to view the panels perhaps. And I don't know where your tree line goes. I would,
So-
I would just
So,
suggest, oh, go
so the
ahead.
the whole front of the property is proposed to be 2 staggered rows of white spruce.
Okay,
So the way that works is the first row is 20 feet apart, and then the one right behind it is essentially 10.
yep,
And then they grow together pretty quick.
yep,
And white spruce are good because then the deer don't really munch on them.
right, okay.
Because the worst
Right.
thing is you plant trees and then all of a sudden all the deer eat the whole bottom and then everything up on top and it looks like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree.
Right.
It's just horrible.
Right.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at the Hanscom Road layout here, and I'm seeing your panels, and I'm seeing your fence line. And you said the fence line was going to fence in 9-point-some-odd acres?
966.
Yes.
9.66 acres, but when I look at where the panels are, you're telling me that it's less than 1 acre, and that doesn't jive. You've got that pretty well filled up there with panels.
And I know there
Is
should
it
be.
9.6 or 0.96?
Let me go back and read that again, just in case my eyes
It
are.
was .96.
I know that's what you said, but just doesn't make any sense
No,
here.
he said 9.66.
He said 9.66 for the fence,
For the
For the
fence.
fenced
For the
area.
fence.
.96 for the panels.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Right.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense, looking at
You say set on
Yeah, he-
12.29 acres is what I've got written.
Yeah,
Nine.
the
Yeah.
disturbed area is 12.92 acres. The area of the panels is 0.78 acres.
Oh, you said .96, but it's
Yeah,
.78?
the developed area is 0.96. The occupied area
Oh, I
is
see.
9.69. Yeah. The tree removal area is 12.92,
Okay.
and the fenced-in area is 9.66.
Okay, do you get what I'm getting
Well,
at, though? Are
that
you
doesn't
looking at
make
that?
sense, yeah.
Well, yes, so I think I misspoke, so.
It just
what's the
doesn't-
fenced area?
doesn't make
The
sense to me.
fenced area is 9.66,
Yeah.
Okay,
all right? The occupied area is 9.69. So that's the area that if it was covering the whole ground, let's say, that with the panels and the trackers and everything, that'd be 9.69. But because it's elevated and you only have posts that go into the ground, when you measure the like the area of the panels, just the panels sitting there up in the air, that's 0.78 of an acre. So you got to kind of look at it this way. So the whole site, if you look at the site where the solar array is going to be, that's 9.69 acres. But then when you actually do the coverage, like what's actually considered impervious coverage that goes into the ground, it's the posts that go into the ground.
okay, so you're talking about the posts
Yes.
are
I
occupying the point, okay. all
Yes,
right,
I
all right,
apologize for
all
that.
right.
So
I
then
understand
they-
what you're
then
saying
the-
now.
Then the panels sit up.
Yeah, but they will spread
Right,
out.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't, now it makes.
Yeah, and then we do the measurement of each individual panel, what that total, so that each individual panel that sits on the racking system that tracks with the sun, that's 0.78 of an acre. So that's 3/4 of an acre
Okay.
of panels
Yep, okay.
that are sitting up tracking. So, sorry about that, it was a little confusing the way. All right, so
Did you say 3/4 of an acre per panel?
No, let me start over. Let's start over. All right. Excuse me. All right. The developed area where we're gonna put up our fence, let's go one step back. We're gonna start with the trees. We're gonna clear 12.92 acres of trees, okay? So now it's all clear. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put up our fence. Our fence is gonna go around 9.66 acres of that 12.92. Within the fence area, we are going to put our panels, which is gonna cover 9.69 acres. That's the occupied area, including,
That's larger than your fenced
yeah,
area.
I'm sorry, that's not, the occupied area, I don't know what that even means, actually, I apologize for that. Within the fenced-in area, when you do the developed area, it's 0.96, and that's the same as the impervious coverage. So what that number is, that's the poles that go into the ground that hold the racking up. So if you take that square footage of all the poles that go into the ground that hold the racking up, because the racking doesn't sit on the ground, that's what that number is, the 0.96. So that's almost an acre, a total acre.
So that's a total acre of posts with panels on top of them that will spread
Well,
out.
Right, so,
It's not, and this is where we're getting caught up. You're only counting the impervious area encroachment. Let's say that each one is 12 by 12 inches, let's say. That's a square foot.
Right.
And then you dig another hole over here, there's another square foot.
Right.
So these things could cover, the panels would be distributed over a 8 or 9 acre area, but the amount of land or impervious land that's being disturbed is 1 square foot per each one.
Exactly.
Okay, as long as we understand
Yes,
that.
exactly.
That makes more sense, because
Yes.
what I'm looking at here
Yeah, right.
didn't,
yeah, I'm sorry. Sometimes when you see things so many times and you talk about it, it kind of jives, but then when you try to explain it, sometimes it doesn't come out the right way.
okay, I'm with you now.
Okay, all right. So that's what we're looking at that. Then, of course, we have a double gated fence that goes in. On the fence will remain a sign with our emergency phone number on it, and then that has a little light that just lights up that number. The sites, in general, once a month, we have somebody come out to check on everything, make sure everything's okay. All the sites are remotely monitored. You know, we have a weather station that's set up on the site, and everything's hooked up as well. So if a panel doesn't work right or something's not working, we get notification on that, and we dispatch somebody out there. What else can I tell you about this new site here? The fence that goes around, it's a wire fence. It's 8 feet high. We leave about 8 or 9 inches on the bottom for small wildlife to continue tracking through. That way nothing gets stuck inside and it doesn't interfere with their migration patterns. Told you about the double row of trees in the front.
Where will the transformers be? Disconnects and stuff,
Where will they be?
yeah.
Inside the fence. So there's the pad, if you see it on the civil drawings.
One right up front by the road.
Yes, up front.
Yep.
And that's so because that's where the poles are to hook into the 3-phase.
So you're leasing this land, right? You're not gonna own it?
No, we own this land.
You own all 12.92
Yes.
acres? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Why does it say landowner Matt Rafe?
Right.
On the other site we own, I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Say that one again.
We own the other site, so we are leasing the total acreage that I said.
Okay, the
Which is-
12.92.
Yes,
On Hanscom School,
yes,
that's lease.
yes. Got my 2 sites confused on that one. So I always try to refer to notes.
But you will be leasing the one on the Hanscom School Road, right?
That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah, that's the one we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
That's the one that's leased.
I know, that will be leased, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
Yes.
this guy owns it.
yes. And the size of the project can never be enlarged because that's what the electric company gives approval for. So a few years ago, the electric company was giving approval for larger sites to everybody. They have since changed that, and now they're much smaller because there's more power going into the grid, and I guess that's what they feel they only need. So that's why this project is based on that. So even if the electric company came back and said, we want it to be 2 megawatts now, we don't have the capacity to be able to do that because we don't, 1, lease the land, and 2, we wouldn't be able to add panels into this because the equipment wouldn't be able to hold it. So that would if somebody wanted to enlarge one of these, they'd actually have to do a whole new project.
Right, and then you'd have to come back before the planning board.
Absolutely, yes, yes. I just wanted to make sure
Yep.
everybody kind of understood that. Let's see here.
So is that all there is on Hanscom and on to
Yeah,
Secocas?
yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the double row of trees in the front, the project is much smaller compared to what was approved by you guys a couple of years ago. Now let's jump over to
Secocas.
Secocas. So this
I'm just
one's,
curious about this lease. Is this lease where you pay for the lease of the land and you get 100% of the power? Or is it a lease where the owner gets 40% of the power and you get 60% of the power?
no, we just lease the land, all the power we get.
Okay.
Yeah, and it go, you know, so the way solar works is all the power goes back into the grid. So and the beauty of a system like this is you can sign up and nobody knows you have solar. Because of the state of Maine, you're guaranteed a 15% savings. So you get a bill from the solar company and you also get a bill from your electric company. You don't have to worry about panels on your roof, things falling off, maintenance, repairs, any of that stuff. You just get this, nobody knows that you have it. We lease the land. Landowners don't have anything to do with the electric company. We're essentially, I guess, almost like a utility ourselves because we're putting all the electric back in the grid. So even if you don't have solar, you still might be getting electricity generated. This could be electricity that was generated by solar. It could be on a site that has batteries, let's say, and once the sun goes down, it starts putting it back into the grid. So it doesn't matter who it is. You could be getting solar electricity. You could be getting regular electricity generated by the power company. It's just the whole idea. It's going back into the grid, and the people that sign up are guaranteed that 15% savings.
There is a company going around trying to lease rooftops and private land that are gonna give you 40% of the take. In other
That's
words,
something new.
You know-
I know years ago, so I'm from New Jersey. I know years ago when solar first started coming into our area, and we don't have projects like this. Everything has to be up on a roof in New Jersey, which I don't have solar because my roof's too new. I'm not drilling in, and then if something breaks, I'm responsible to pay for the equipment. It's not a good deal. But years ago, when solar was first introduced, it was called, I think it was called extracts, whatever. I think that was the term for it. And what happened was people were generating so much solar electricity, putting it back into the grid. They were making a lot of money off that. So that's what it almost sounds like a company's trying to do here. They're generating electricity, and I guess they're making so much on it that they're able to do deals like that. But as it goes on, they won't be able to do that because the more people that get involved in it, those numbers start going down and it won't last. And again, problem with putting it on your roof is it gets damaged, you're responsible to fix it because a lot of these companies will not do that anymore.
All right, so let's move on to Secocas.
Yes. So Secocas, let me just pull up my plans.
On the Secocas layout here,
Yeah, we just.
it looks like you've moved the whole thing to the other side of the property. And right now, you've got a whole bunch of holes in the ground and stakes on the other side.
So it moved for opposite, oh my God, I can't speak. For the sun, essentially. If there's existing poles and things out there, once we start construction again, we will remove all that stuff.
Okay,
Because, so in that case, it's no different than the lifespan of these. So we're leasing that land for 25 years, then we have an option for an additional 5 years. All these projects are projected to go 30 years. And then what happens at the end, as you know, we have a decommissioning bond, and if sometime in between the company goes out of business, somebody buys us, something happens, there's money there to pay for the removal of this stuff. Similar to that, because we had started doing work there and stopped, we will remove all that and put that area back to what it was prior to starting that.
But you said you own this piece, right?
Yes, yes.
No, that
No,
was.
the other
No,
one.
this is Secocas he owns.
Yeah.
Hanscom they lease.
So on Skokokis, you can see there is, we have trees on Route 11, Skokokis Avenue, going down the length of the property line.
And some of those trees have died, and you'll be replacing them.
Yeah, we'll replace all those.
Yep.
at any point.
42 dead ones, you said? Okay.
And that's a single row there now. I don't believe that's a double row.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Will
just
you
a
be
single
putting a
one.
double row on Secocas?
We can put a double row. Trees are good neighbors. I'm big on trees. My background, I spent 20 years as a volunteer on my local planning board, so like, I like trees. Trees are good neighbors. They don't make noise and they cover up stuff, so, yeah, so certainly we can do a double row of trees there.
Yeah, I think the trees that are there now are pine, is that correct?
No,
They're what,
Yeah.
they're a mix? It's a mix, okay,
There's some cedar that are dead in the back.
okay.
It doesn't show any of them planted in the back.
Yep, right.
There's 16 of them dead in the back.
Is that back by the, I guess, the old layout?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so,
That's where it got overcut. There's supposed to have been a 30-foot buffer from them to me, and they cut that, they cut onto my land.
Right, and so it's the trees that are buffering you that are dead,
Yes.
so they need to be replaced.
okay.
What kind of trees will you put in?
Probably the white pines, because they hold up well. Let me see if this plan says on it. This plan's got Norway spruces planting at 7 to 8 foot height.
Yeah, well, spruce provide a better coverage than a pine does. Pine's pretty,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pines don't grow very close to
No.
the ground. Yeah.
So the spruce are preferable by far.
Okay. Well, we'll do the spruce. We'll do double row the spruce. And just for orientation, where's your property located?
I'm right here.
Oh, you're to the west. Okay, so,
they got room for a double row of trees in it,
And they,
Yeah, they do.
was out back.
Yeah,
pretty close to the road.
they still have room for
okay,
it.
so,
They still have room for it.
house
Better than what it looks now.
to
I don't
west.
think pines make a good fence because they die off as they come together.
Right, and then you get this big, yeah.
No, I think
But
spruce
the
would be much
Norway
better.
spruce will work.
Spruce are good.
Yeah.
You know, one of the fences I've seen for privacy is right down the road and across the street where it separated the houses.
Say that one again, Craig, I didn't hear it.
I said, what are you missing, 42 trees?
Yeah, well, he said there's
42.
42 dead trees.
Yeah, 42 dead trees.
Yeah, so I made a note of that. And also put a note to go in and do additional plantings, wherever can fit them
Yeah.
in.
It's important that
Yeah.
they get the protection.
No,
Yeah.
these are trees that were planted and died, or they are they were,
The original plan was they're gonna leave a 30-foot buffer between my property and their
right,
property.
yeah,
They
yeah.
cut the 30 feet, and then they cut going onto my property, and I finally got them stopped before they cut.
Right, and I was aware of that, but what I'm trying to figure out is the dead trees, were they planted there, or,
Replanted them. yes.
okay, and then they died?
Correct.
Okay, I'm with you, yep.
What kind of trees were they, spruce?
There's some cedar out there.
Cedar's a good tree.
The deer ate them though.
Did they-
Deer love cedar trees. Yeah, cedar's not a good
Some
tree
white
to
pine,
plant.
There's probably some spruce. They got like a mixed bag out there
Mm.
of stuff.
Well, if they plant them back, you can have a lot of deer meat.
True.
So we'll go with continue with like the mix of trees, not that are deer resistant.
Yes. That are deer resistant.
You can put
So stay away from
something-
cedar.
Yes, definitely. 'Cause they
Yeah.
pruned them 6 feet up.
Wow.
And my question is, how long are you gonna take care of those?
For,
But I like your answer.
no, well, for, I guess, the length of the project, I mean, that's
Well,
a
I would
condition.
assume that any trees that were destroyed on your property, how long, I mean, what is it, a 2 to 3 year lifespan before a tree dies? I mean, I don't know how long a tree has to be planted before it passes, but it would seem to me logical that if the trees that are on your property that they replant, if they die, I would think they should, that's personal opinion, they should replace them.
Usually trees, they'll die within the first 2 years.
Yeah.
That's usually, like, it takes 2 years, because I also own a landscaping business. So generally, like, 2 years, after 2 years, you're usually pretty good.
Yeah.
And usually, we plant, like, 6-foot trees because they hold up better. The bigger tree, the larger trees, you try to plant them, it takes them longer, and sometimes they just don't, they
Well,
don't
6
go.
foot's a good height.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. Are you comfortable with that?
Could,
Okay.
we're not even to the point where.
Well, we've
we're just-
already
we're-
approved,
We've already approved. Well,
so
then-
we're just, they're just here to update us.
Well, then I would want something in writing saying that these people need to be made whole and that those trees need to be maintained over the next,
30 years.
Well,
you get
Yeah.
another die-off like you had before, you're gonna have to come back and do it again. I mean, there's gotta be a reason why they're dying off.
Well, they died off pretty
Yeah,
fast, so I mean, they were.
Yeah.
actually-
Right, they
they were
die,
actually
like you say, in a
stopped
couple of
with,
years,
so-
but, I think we gotta get them whole.
Is a
My
three-year
understanding
time?
was there was an encroachment on the property and there was a mistake and some trees were cut. And then
Yeah,
we
well,
tried to put them
that's
back
just a
and
whole-
so, all right. So I think we need to make sure that happens and they're maintained over
A
a
3-year period?
reasonable 3-4 year period of
Well,
time so that we know
So I
that.
wouldn't even say 3-4 years like that. So I'd say, you plant a tree, if it dies within the 2 years, you replace that tree, and then that starts the clock again on those trees for another 2 years. Because you could be put,
What?
well, I mean, after 2 years, trees are gonna live, and then, if lightning hits them or they get infected, they're gonna die. I mean,
Well, that's
certainly-
active nature.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
and
that's
certainly,
different,
like, if
yeah.
these guys are
That's
going out there,
different.
let's say if there are trees that are problems and we're going out and replacing stuff, we can have them, replace other trees that they see are dead. But, I mean, if everything lives and it's 5 years into the future and they're growing, I mean, that's a pretty long time. I mean,
So-
because at that point, you're gonna have trees that are probably 15, 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
And, at that point, it's gonna be different because the buffer is
Yeah,
gonna be
I'm okay
different.
with that. What I'm trying to prevent is to do what happened the last time. We go
Right.
in and we plant trees and then they die and they're in the same boat they were 2
Right.
years ago. That, I don't want that to happen again.
No, I understand. So what we can do is we'll send you another set of plans, and then what we do on the front page of the plans, we put conditions of approval.
Right.
So what'll do is a condition of approval that we will replace any trees that die within a 2-year period, and if
If a
another
tree
tree
dies in
dies
that
within
2
2
years.
years, it's still an additional 2 years.
Yep.
So at that point, if we're planting, let's say we're 6 years down the road, and they're still planting trees in the same spot and it's dying, there's a problem. They need to change spots or something. And I hope it wouldn't
Right.
go that long, but
Right.
we'll do that. So,
What do you mean by change spots? They're trying to fill an area they cut off.
Well,
well, I
if-
mean, shift it a couple of feet or do something. I mean, if you keep planting a tree in the same hole and it keeps dying,
Yeah,
There's a
that
problem with
there's a
the
problem.
spot, yeah.
And I mean, one problem could be sometimes
The way
it
it's
could.
planted is usually the problem.
Well, it could be, or sometimes maybe that area just gets too wet. Trees will get too much water, they'll drown, the roots will rot, and then they'll die. So that's not uncommon. You can't necessarily plant trees in a very wet area because they'll die and the root system will rot and it'll die. So that kind of defeats the
They have
purpose
to
as
find-
But there
well.
were trees there before that were mature.
Right,
And
This is-
those were
yeah,
cut.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay, that's what we're trying to.
right, so
fix.
realistically, I mean, if there were trees there and they were alive, I'm sure there were plenty of dead trees because, like a forest or anything, but they should live, and if trees are dying within 2 years, there's a problem with that tree.
What kind of trees did they cut when they cut them?
Little everything, hardwood, softwoods.
You couldn't see our house from the road, and now you can see our house.
So it can't be too wet there, hardwood wouldn't grow, wouldn't.
Some pines.
Okay, let's go back to the location changes on the Secocas Road plan.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just one second, I
Okay,
just want to
that's
jot
okay.
down this note.
Sure. And you have these people's names, I'm sure.
I know, well, you guys sent out the abutters letters,
Mm-hmm.
but I will get it, and I'll give them my card as well, so we can stay in touch.
Thank you. I want your card.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I want your card too.
Well, you can have it, certainly.
Thank you.
Only if you call me and say nice things. I don't want anybody calling me yelling at me.
I'm a professional. That good answer.
I had a gentleman tell me the other day that Central Maine's getting 60% of his power from solar farms. Is that true?
That I don't know. I mean, Maine is a very solar-friendly state. They encourage solar. I mean, the first time I came up and I saw on DOT right-of-ways, almost right up to the road, I couldn't believe it. I mean, but yeah, they're very supportive of solar. But like anything, I just had this conversation with someone today. You can't. I personally don't think you can just rely on any one source of energy at this point. I mean, solar systems have come a long way. We do installations now of projects like this where we have battery systems, where during the day the excess energy we're collecting feeds back into the grid at night. And maybe one day these systems will be better. I think probably in the next 20 years, a project this size will be almost nothing. It'll be very tiny because the way the technology is going in these panels, they'll be able to absorb so much, it won't do anything. I mean, a common question I get is, you know, well, the panels, do they reflect? No, they're designed to absorb the sun. They don't reflect it back. But yeah, the technology is getting, I mean, really, really good. But solar itself's been around for over 50 years too, let's not forget. Think about when you were in school, I mean, the first solar calculators, everybody thought they were the greatest thing in the world. That's how long they've been around. Replace any that.
When I was in school, I lived on a road that
When I
didn't
was
even
in
have
school.
power.
We had pencils.
My first calculator I got when I was 20, and that was 50 years ago, but it was one.
First alphabet.
All righty.
It
Are you all
wasn't
set?
solar.
Yeah, so, and I'll go through those numbers, the same numbers again, see if I can confuse you with this site as well. Or not confuse you, how about that? Let's try not to confuse anybody this time around. All right, so this site, we'll start with the total tree removal area. It's 20 acres. But some of it, I guess, has already been cleared. So that, I guess that would be the total. So probably if there was construction started, when they factor in when stuff has started and it's been a couple of years, it's getting rid of anything that's growing up. So you have weed trees, and so that's just part of it.
What's the total acreage of the whole thing?
Of the whole thing, our whole area looks like is 20 acres.
Okay.
20, see something.
I don't
That's the
have-
same amount that's been cleared, the 20 acres.
Yeah, I think that,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
What's that?
I mean, we try hard as a company not to clear anything that we don't need to clear, but it all comes down to getting the most sunlight and not having shading or worrying about a tree falling on something. I mean, the only problems we've had, I think, ever was last July 4th weekend in Lewiston. Somebody broke into a site that was under construction. They hot-wired all the trucks, the equipment there, and they drove them through all the panels and destroyed our solar site. So they caused about $350,000 in damage. And it took a while to get this up, but we actually just finished it. I think it got finished in January this year, and got operational.
Okay. All right, so let's go back
yeah.
to, so you say, let's stick together, guys, please. So total acreage is 20 acres,
Yep,
and
that-
that is the
The tree
cleared.
removal.
No,
So
right,
we own the whole site.
yes, but what I want to know is, how much is that site?
Oh, how many, the whole site
The whole
altogether?
site is what I just,
All right, give me 1 second, I have to go to something else to find that.
probably in here, I just haven't,
Well,
looked
there's
at
a chart right here.
I don't have.
Yeah, it wouldn't, I don't think it would list the whole,
Okay.
the whole.
Well, I
site.
could go back to the original site plan and find that out anyway.
This is, the impervious
It's a different
area,
page.
developed area.
Are you changing the fence
Fenced
in
area.
an area?
Hold on.
Uh,
Technology.
Yeah, it would change
You're
from, the-
moving the posts that are already in there, you're changing how you're fencing that off.
it's gonna be a woven
Here we
fence around the array. So any other fence that's up is gonna come down if there's a fence up out there.
Okay, right now, there's a fence around this whole property.
Yeah.
The whole property,
And all the posts are on the opposite end of where you're showing these solar panels right now. All
Right.
the posts are in, on the opposite end of where these solar panels are.
So that was for the old site, yeah.
Yes.
So that whole site's gonna be taken out and it's gonna look just like farmland when, the
So
way.
you're gonna move the fence back towards where the solar.
Yes, oh, yeah, we don't fence in extra area, we only
How come
fence
this
in.
isn't showing it on the plan? That's what you're gonna do. Right now, it looks like you're showing.
It's like a
whole
fence on the
fenced-in
whole,
area as
right.
it is today.
well, that's all approved.
I
Yeah, that-
understand that, I just
yeah.
asked him, if he's removing all these posts,
Yeah.
is he gonna move the fence across here like this instead of way down around where it's
It's already
not
there.
needed? I understand that.
So,
I'm just asking if he's
Gonna
moving
move
it.
Yeah.
No, we can move that, I mean, I mean, if you want it moved, we can certainly move it, generally,
Well,
we,
it's not that.
I don't
I'm
think we
asking if
can.
you're moving it.
Yeah.
It's not that I want it moved or
Yeah,
not moved. I'm
it's
asking
just
you
that
if
it
you're
was
going to move it.
an informational question.
Because, you know, you're showing it on the plan here now that it's not being moved.
yeah, I see that.
Well,
And you're saying that you could move it.
Yeah,
I'm wondering, are you going to move it?
I would say
I mean,
we
if you're
will,
not using that area, I mean, it's up to you what you're
no,
gonna do.
I'm gonna say we will, I'll have them move it and just put it around the solar array. I mean, that way, you know, I guess it prevents, 'cause it, yeah, we'll just bring it in, that way it's cleaner and tighter.
If you do that, you could change the trees you got out there too.
Yeah,
So
you wouldn't
there's a
have to
lot
have
of-
all those trees along Route 11.
Well, they'd have to go along that fence line this way.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have to,
But they could move them to the
it's better for them.
um, fence line. Well, I don't think it would make any difference to them on, where Skokus now. Yeah, right.
That's where
Yeah.
they live.
save yourself a lot of money if you just left everything the way it
Yeah.
is.
Well, this is their house right here.
Oh, okay, gotcha, sorry, yeah,
This
gotcha.
is right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanna know what to expect
See,
from you
this
guys.
is supposed to be.
Get this started, and I'm gonna go down there and check it out, and I wanna know what you're saying. you're gonna do.
Well,
You can see.
The,
their
the
house
only,
on the ro-
I would say the only benefit right now would be if you left the fence where it is that anything that's grown up around it wouldn't be disturbed. So, because if they're gonna move the fence, they're gonna have to pull it out, they're gonna disturb that whole area.
The trees
First of
that are
all,
already
why
planted.
this site is already approved, so
Right.
if he doesn't change the site, it
Right.
doesn't matter where anything is.
Right, exactly,
No.
Well,
I'm just asking.
we're changing it to the point where it's smaller now.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
site-
we
the site's
But
much
you
understand.
don't have
smaller.
to, you don't have to change any of that fence if you don't want to.
Well, I'm just thinking to myself now, it'd be better to leave it, because then we don't have to disturb anything that's out there.
Right.
That's, Craig just wants to know.
Yeah,
if
so
that's what you- Say,
we'll leave it.
yeah, okay, they're gonna leave it,
You're
Craig.
removing the posts so that are in that
Yeah.
area.
Yes, yeah,
You're
for
gonna leave the
the
fence.
post for the old racking is gonna be removed.
Okay, removing the posts and leaving the
Fence
fence.
stays here.
Removed and taken off-site, I hope.
They said decommission.
Yeah, so
That would
what,
make sense.
so what happens with the, any old equipment? So let's think into the future with solar. About 96% of a solar project's totally recyclable. There's companies that do it. So when we had that issue in Lewiston, we had a recycling company that deals with solar come in, and they took everything off site. So nothing goes to any place in Maine. I think they're located down in Virginia. I think that's where they are. So they take everything and they recycle it and do the proper stuff with it. It's not like wind turbines that they have to bury in the ground. This is all stuff they take, and it's almost 100% recyclable, which is
Well, all I
good.
got out there now, I think it's just steel. There's no,
Yeah, so,
you just got steel in the ground.
yeah, so, I mean, the
That's
steel,
easy to get rid of.
yeah,
Okay,
and you can get money for it, too.
okay. You know, it's 7:45, and if, do you have any more questions that you need?
Not at this moment.
Okay, all right.
So I do have one question, I guess. On the back page here, it says with the trees, it says,
The tree plant?
the position throughout the warranty period. contractor shall maintain trees in a plumb position throughout the warranty period. What is a warranty period?
Doesn't matter, because what we're gonna do is we're going to, any trees that die within 2 years, we're gonna replace them, and that starts the clock again for those particular trees that are replaced.
Just so if in 2 years you get a tree dies, you replace that one tree, but if 3 years down the road, a different tree dies, not that one that's already dead dies, then you're not replacing that one?
We could go out 3 years with them. I mean, the thing is, there comes a point where, if you're talking about these trees 3 years down, they're gonna be much larger. So if something dies in that area, the other two are gonna start to grow together. Where you'll run into a problem is now you have 2 trees in a row that are dead, then you're not getting that coverage. So we'll do the double row again.
I'm more talking about the trees for this guy over here, for Trevor,
Well-
on his trees.
Well, that-
I
well,
know you're gonna replace some trees in the front, because that's your buffer.
Yeah, jumping back to that, we're gonna replace, so if a tree dies, we're gonna replace it. Then if that tree dies again, we're gonna come out and replace it. The clock starts again, so you always have 2 years on that tree. But if the guys are out there and they see something else that died that's small, then, we can replace it. But if you're talking 5 years down the road, you're talking about big trees that have lasted, that now and plus in that time, you're gonna have all the other trees growing up around it, which is gonna create the buffer you're looking for, plus whatever underbrush has started to grow. So, you're gonna have wild trees start growing as well.
I don't have a problem with the 3 years, but I do think that whatever is decided here needs to be put in writing so that it's part of the documentation and we can point to it 5 years down the road when you're working somewhere else, maybe, who knows? But we need to have that.
We're gonna put it on the cover, the front page of the civil drawings that we'll send you a new copy with.
Okay,
Yeah,
Perfect,
under conditions of approval.
Yeah.
Yep.
okay.
So the only thing I would ask then would be you just to take a vote, since this has changed a little bit, just to vote, because make that a condition of approval. So then we can put it on there, because if you don't necessarily vote on it, then it's not, that's just us saying it. But that way, if you vote on it, then you're locking it in.
okay.
This is
Whereas
already
at the
approved.
end, they've got our first approval.
This is already approved.
It
don't
is
it?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
already
But he
approved and
wants us to just
stapled to the
amend
end.
He
the
just-
fact that
Talking
we're gonna
about
change
putting an
it.
So
additional
I'm
condition.
speaking as someone who's done it a long time.
Right.
From
All
your
right.
standpoint,
Yep.
it
I
gives
hear
you,
what you're
it
saying.
gives you the power.
I hear what you're saying.
So whoever's standing here in the future, you know what, they have to follow that. I'm just, we strive to be good neighbors, but I've done this for a long time, so for me, I understand what a good neighbor is and also being a board member, so I always, the protection part of it.
Then I will make a motion
I got
that,
something else too.
oh, go ahead.
So, Donna, did you give her them envelopes that I had given you? Because I received something stating that you guys have.
Oh, yes, everybody's got it.
What?
The
have-
SOMPO,
You gonna cancel your decommissioning?
everybody
bond,
has
or-
one in their package.
Oh, the bond.
We can't cancel a decommissioning
Well,
bond.
I don't know, I got paperwork. You
It
can
says
look at it.
notice of bond cancellation.
From who? Who's it?
I thought it came from you people.
It says Novel Energy Construction,
Right, principal name,
yeah, and then
Make sure to
Sonko.
come.
We can't start construction unless we have a bond
But-
in place. So,
We can have that.
Cancellation on a year from now.
has this been approved by the Board of Selectmen? Because they are the, in this town, the Board of Selectmen handle the bond situations. Do they have a copy of this, Craig?
No, I had just gotten into.
Hasn't been canceled.
no, it hasn't. They're just
been
saying that
canceled.
our bond is good until March 1st to 26th.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh,
when
yeah,
I
so,
That's not
yeah, we
decommissioned.
continually have to renew it. Yeah, and then it gets filed, so yeah.
It's
we-
just the title, Craig,
Yeah.
that's confusing. It says notice of cancellation. That makes you think it's going to
Yeah,
be
but
canceled.
if you look down, it's.
But if you
it's-
look down, they have another
Yeah.
year, from March 2025, whereas on or about, down to as of the 2026.
Right.
So they'll have to come back at 2026 with another one of these.
Yes,
If
we have to
necessary
update
to
it.
extend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bond amount is $199,297.15.
Yeah,
And the other thing too is after, maybe it's 7 or 10 years, it's here. By the time we get 30 years down the road, it's gonna be much higher because it goes with the CPI.
Okay.
And every year you guys mail me a statement like this? that it's been renewed?
Yeah, they would have to for your records, yeah.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
that comes from a different department, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is from their attorney, yeah.
But this is the insurance company.
Yeah,
Whoever,
that's the insurance company, Lexon Insurance
Yeah,
Company.
this was probably something we included in the package that we sent
Yeah.
you.
I don't know, you got it in the mail?
No, I
somewhere?
You got it in the mail? Oh, okay.
Separately.
Oh, so it's the insurance company then that sends it to you for your record?
Stating that it's
which
good
would make
until March
sense.
1st of next
They'll
year.
send you another one next year if they renew it. If they don't,
Yeah, so this is, it's a one year, it goes year to year. So this one, they sent it to you, I guess,
right, so we know what's
This-
going on.
yeah.
So you'll be getting one of these
Right.
every year, okay.
yeah,
All
I'm
right, let's
scared
move
for a
on.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah, because normally we don't get these. I don't see these. They just get sent out, and that's how you get it. The insurance company sends it to you, so it doesn't even come from us. I'm sure we get a copy of it, but we don't already have the decommissioning bond. We apply for it and we'll get it before construction, but
Will you make a motion?
this one's a little
about
different.
The condition to be,
Craig,
wait, just a minute, please. The condition to be added about the fees, how do you want to word it? Yes,
I just wanted to say, Craig gave me this paper this
Yep,
morning and I photocopied
yep,
it.
that's fine,
They did send it to the office certified mail,
okay.
Okay.
so they did want to make sure we got it.
Yep.
And Craig cited.
And I'm
safety
assuming the
and-
Board of Selectmen also have a copy of this?
No, but I will give them one.
They should have,
Yeah.
for their records, yeah.
So this is something you get every year.
Yeah, absolutely, okay, we know the answer to that now.
Solar farm, 'cause we haven't
Yeah.
had any.
Oh,
All right, so in order to get this finalized, and,
I have one quick question before you go there.
Yeah,
How many acres did they cut off of yours, Trevor?
Probably wasn't a lot, we got them in time. But
Half an
close to
acre?
that. No, probably not even that, a quarter of an acre down through there.
So it's not a big deal to
But they
put
cut
that
they
back.
cut the buffer too,
Not a
plus
big
the buffer.
Buffer that,
Yeah, the buffer's a
we
big,
didn't wanna look at the back of that. so
right,
that was the biggest thing.
okay.
Makes sense.
all right, in order to get
Could've
this,
cut more, I guess, if we didn't get them stopped.
all right.
okay.
In
All right,
order to
Craig's-
get this taken care of, I'm gonna make a motion that says, that we'll add a condition, and the condition will be to restore the 30-foot buffer for these folks, and that there would be a guarantee, over a 3-year period that if any tree died, then that tree would be replaced.
And also restore the
That's-
trees cut from their
That's what I
property.
started with, is that you need to restore,
Okay.
you
How
need to
much-
be made whole and have that
Well,
30-foot
the-
buffer put back
How
where
much
it
of the buffer
belongs.
was put back?
Uh,
I mean, did they?
They probably staggered it through that 30-foot buffer.
Oh, they did. All right, so-
There's 3 to 4 rows out there,
Okay.
trees.
So now it's more just going back and replacing the dead trees
Dead
and.
trees, yes.
Okay, how tall are the trees that are out there now, would you say?
They probably had some 6-footers in there at times.
Oh, no, but I mean, is that all they're at now, is 6 foot?
Yeah.
Oh, so they planted small trees.
Small trees. Some of them are even to here.
All right, so yeah,
From
so
here
we'll
to
be,
6 feet. It
Okay,
varies.
it varies,
I'd say
okay.
Whatever they found.
all right, so we'll go 6 feet.
So,
Okay.
is there a second to to Bob's motion?
I'll second it.
Victoria separated, separates.
Seconded
Seconded
it.
it, thank you. All in favor? Okay. All right. So unless there's more questions, I think we pretty much understand what's going on and the timeframes that are,
When are you gonna start this?
Well, since we're here, it probably means that they're looking at different equipment to start buying, so realistically, if we went back tomorrow and started ordering stuff, we probably wouldn't get anything for probably at least 10 months.
really.
Wow.
So,
So
yeah,
it could be
it's,
another year before you even,
oh, yeah, yeah. There's nothing quick about it. It's like, people think, oh, you just run to a warehouse. Everything we order is custom ordered for each site we do, which I guess maybe makes it a little harder. But plus, when you start going down the road with one panel and then all of a sudden, well, you can get the panels, but you can't get the boxes for them or whatever else, then then there's a lot of juggling in between to do it.
So are you going to prioritize one Hanscom school over Secocas, or
That I don't know.
Yeah.
That would fall into construction.
that's in management?
Yeah,
Okay, all righty,
and-
just curious, okay.
Sometimes it's a mystery to me how we pick which projects to move forward with, because I can tell you, as you probably know, there's some places here in the state where you can just go out and put a flag in the ground and build anything you want. You could build the Empire State Building, and there's no zoning, no inspections or anything. So for me, I always wonder why we don't do those first, but I don't know.
So you won't be doing his trees for 10 months or a year?
No, I'm gonna have them, because it's a buffer already and they screwed it up. I'm gonna have them get on that this summer.
Yeah,
Because,
okay. That's
you know,
what we
you
would
can't-
recommend
I
strongly.
mean, this is a good time to plant now. You can't plant, I don't like planting trees in the fall because it's too close to the winter and you want them to take. So, while we get rain and everything else, this is gonna be something that we're gonna have to get them out there to do in the next, couple months.
Is that a
Before
couple of
summer
months
gets too
reasonable
hot.
to you?
Who mows that for the next 10 months for the fire danger?
We should have a contractor go out. Usually we hire local contractors that mow it.
There's a lot of pop-up fires lately with everything being dead.
Yeah.
That's true.
Where I am in New Jersey, we've had a bunch of fires recently too. And we
Okay.
never get stuff like that.
Although maybe it's just the
The
buffer
grass was what,
between
2
the
or 3 feet high last summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, we mow sites usually twice a year.
I think they mowed it right before they started putting up.
Yeah.
And that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and then they stopped construction, so they just left it. All right. Let me make a note of that.
Okay, so you need to exchange information so
Yep.
you two can communicate.
I just lost my train of thought. What was the thing right before that? Oh, plant the trees right
Plant some
away.
new trees.
Yeah, now plant,
Do the abutters get
And
a
the
deal
mowing.
on power?
they sign up for free and get the 15% savings.
They can't just run a wire and something.
Okay, we're
It's a
gonna
way to
move
do it.
on. All righty, are you all set?
I'm all set. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming in.
Get your
Yeah.
business card.
I will not. Let me just move out of the way.
The trees will be replaced.
Or any trees
Well,
that die will be
Any
replaced.
trees that die will be replaced.
Will be replaced.
Yep.
Okay.
I noticed it only says in the front by the road like this,
Wow.
for the trees. Didn't say anything about the back by me.
Well, that's what
We
that's
just
what we did
voted on the
tonight.
back.
That's what we
That's-
added with.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was put in there for, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks, for coming in. You signed in with Donna, right?
Yes.
Yep, I've got their names.
All right, now we're moving on to the brewery up on Dole's Ridge Road. And you have Miss Andrew?
Yes, good
Andrew
evening.
Morrow? Hi,
Hi there, how are y'all doing?
good, thanks.
Good.
Just one housekeeping item.
Sure.
Paula, my daughter-in-law must be thinking of me. Donna,
Yes.
the site walk, everyone went
Yep.
but me.
Yes. Yep, but you,
The one who sent out the notice forgot it.
You reminded us, so we all
Yeah.
got there.
It was the most beautiful day of the year, too.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Wasn't
It
it
was
nice?
so
Is
gorgeous,
that all
yeah.
right that I
That was the
texted
only
you?
way- yeah,
Nice
that
breeze.
wouldn't have been right.
All right.
It was very well timed. Good job.
All righty, we're ready for you.
All right, yeah, hi, Andy Morrill from BH2M. This is a 101 acre parcel on Dole's Ridge Road. As the board knows, the applicant is looking to relocate their brewery from Biddeford to Limington. They're on a pretty tight timeline trying to get things.
Excuse me, just, can you guys, like, go to the back for your conversation? Sorry about that.
As the board knows, the applicant was kind of open temporarily last year. May have to do something like that again this year, depending on how this all goes. It's really going to be determined on the DEP permitting, but as the board knows, we had a sketch plan back in March. We had a site plan a couple weeks ago. That
You
was
had a
great.
site walk.
Site walk, yes. I just want to briefly go over the changes that have changed to the plan since the board has seen them at the sketch
So
plan. phase.
tonight, may I just, I keep interrupting and I
Sure. No,
apologize.
no problem at all.
But tonight, you're officially submitting your application,
Yes, that's
which
correct.
means that we'll do a public hearing in 2 weeks.
Yep,
With, okay, I just want to be sure we're on the same wavelength, that's all.
yep. No,
Okay.
I just wanted to kind of introduce the project a little
Sure,
bit to you
oh,
guys.
absolutely, yes, please.
So the changes that have happened to the layout have not been there hasn't been many changes from what you guys saw. But what we did do is I moved the access road about 100 feet to the northeast, closer to the farm. The original access road on the original sketch plan came in through here. I moved it up a little bit further just to allow larger vehicles, easier access out onto Dole's Ridge Road. The original layout had access all the way around the building to vehicles. We eliminated the access on the southwest side of the brewery. That's where the septic system is now located. The applicant added a farm stand or annex on the northeast side of the building with some parking. That's the little bump out in the building here.
Mhm.
And they added this parking. You can see it in the
Yep.
rendering as well. The parking spaces were previously pushed a little further into the site. On our sketch plan originally, the parking was kind of down here. We moved it as close as we could to the brewery.
Mhm.
Eventually, there's gonna be hopefully a restaurant and pavilion built over here. This is kind of the high spot of the site. So
Right.
we wanted to really try to maximize that.
Yep,
So we tried to kind of scrunch everything together to make it work, but I think it works relatively well. Some of the things we tried to do with the design is limit how many apple trees we were eliminating. Obviously, the access road in is where we're getting rid of quite a few apple trees. But once we get up to the top of the hill, as the board saw at the site walk, we're pretty much not eliminating any of those trees. Some of the items we talked about at the site walk that I just wanted to make sure I point out was the site lighting. That was something we discussed at the site walk, was what were we gonna propose for lighting. I do have a lighting plan here. If the board wants to see it, it's in your packet. But we have a combination of lights on the building and pole lights along the access road and in the parking lot. Not proposing any impacts to any abutting lots. We've made sure to those be down shaded lights to make sure that it doesn't pollute any abutting neighbors. This project is subject to a DEP stormwater permit. Our intent will be to kind of get some initial comments from you guys this evening and then move forward with our DEP permitting after this meeting. Stormwater on site is collected with an open drainage system. There's 3 vegetated soil filters throughout the site that are treating the stormwater. I believe that is all. That's kind of the things that have changed on the site since you guys have seen them. So with that, I'll throw it back to you, and I'm happy to answer any
yeah,
questions. the board
I'm
has.
just going to refer back to our
Sure.
minutes of our March 17th meeting.
Sure.
Because there were some questions asked.
Yes.
And one of them was, will there be seating inside the brewery? I don't know. And I think Craig asked that question, and the answer back in March was you would check with the owner to
Yes.
see if there was going to be seating. or not.
There's not going to be any seating in the brewery. When you say seating, you mean
Well,
for
it says,
for the
will there-
general public.
Seating area for people to have their drinks and food.
Yeah, there will not be in the.
So
the-
when you say no seating, does that mean that there might be high tops or a bar for the beer tasting?
I think the intent is to have it in that kind of annex building is where he would like to get people to get into and kind of separate it from the brewery.
Okay.
So that the brewery's kind of where the beer is made and produced. And,
Oh, I see.
and this annex
The
farm
little
stand
hump building.
area is kind of where people can.
Yeah, the little annex, the little
Yeah.
hump
Bump
building,
out down
yes,
there.
yeah, yeah.
And that's why we tried to add a separate entrance over here. This is kind of the public entrance, if
Yep,
you will, to the
yep.
building. And the other entrances are kind of employee entrances to the
Okay,
building.
okay.
So you'll just be selling beer there and farm stuff, no cooking of food or anything like that?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just curious.
What they're really trying to accomplish is get the beer up and running, get the
Yep.
brewery up and running,
Okay.
and then then they're gonna really focus on the restaurant pavilion
Yeah.
and get.
And I'm
that next
assuming
step.
in here is the interior design of the building?
Yes,
Okay.
there's a floor plan in there that
Yep,
shows
yep.
the inside of the
And the
building.
soil tests have been done?
Yes,
Okay.
yep,
And I'm just checking off the list here.
Yep.
There was a question about the water testing for capacity of flow. Has that been done?
that has not, the applicant has gotta do a drilled well as part of the, construction of this project.
Okay.
Once that well is drilled, we will have a number of how much water it can handle on probably a gallons per minute basis, and he's gonna have to determine whether that's enough to
Yep.
support his facility, or if he's gonna need to drill another one or multiple wells.
Okay. And then Pete had asked if there was a backup plan, would you transport? And you said probably that would be the solution if there wasn't enough water, but I would assume they would drill a second well. Okay, I just wanted to
Yep.
see that those questions got answered. So, questions from the
Yeah,
board?
I got
concern?
one. The septic system that you show on this plan here
Yes,
is just to accommodate the brewery.
that's correct.
Okay, so I know we're not here to talk about pavilion or anything else, but that would require a separate one down the road, or, okay,
Yes.
so that, it looks small to me, and that's why. Okay, we're all set.
And that was another thing we talked about at the site walk was I'm gonna reach out to the guy who did the design of that and confirm that the septic system has been sized accordingly to handle all of the brewing facilities. That's still one item that hasn't been worked out yet, is the waste from the processing of beer. Is that gonna be placed into a holding tank and pumped out, or is that gonna be directed to the septic system? So that's an item that I need to kind of track down and figure out.
Actually, this hasn't been designed to really handle anything. It's designed to handle 250 gallons of water a day, so.
Which is not much.
Not a lot of water. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, and, I will reach out to, that's on my list of things to do, to reach out to the applicant and get an idea of, is this septic system as it's shown designed to handle what's needed on site? And when I come back to you guys, I'll have either a new septic design, or I'll have some answers to these questions for you guys.
Okay, now,
On the septic design, it's mainly for that little bump out you left it on there. For 50 people seating a day, 5 gallons a day per person. For the dining and banquets, this design is only for that.
Right?
Yeah, but you
But you
got,
wanna have a
you
full
got
back
brewery
building,
employees, you got,
Correct, yes.
yeah.
Well, it doesn't make any difference what it's for. It's only good for 250 gallons.
That's-
Well,
that's-
50 people at a seating is what it's,
Well, that may not even handle that.
that's what the state said it is. 50
That's what. he-
well, he's going to
that's
come
what
back
seating.
to make sure that the septic system is properly designed.
Yeah, yeah.
This brings a question to mind. If we accept your application tonight, and then in 2 weeks, which would, I think, be the 17th or something like that, whatever, we will do the public hearing. Would you have those answers by then, do you think?
I will make sure to have those for
Oh,
you,
okay,
sure.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. Because that's when we usually make our decision, if we can, that same night.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I'm
That's
just curious, do you know what the wall height is on the brewery? Just curious how tall. I probably can find it in here. I didn't know, but maybe you know.
He usually puts it on there, but he didn't.
I'm just curious. It
I
doesn't.
can get that for you. I don't know off the top
Just
of my head, and I don't want to give you a number
I'm
without,
just wondering how.
Well, you got a full set of plans for that when you're ready to
Yeah.
pull permits, right?
yep.
I'll bet you it's here.
Just curious.
Victoria has a question.
No, I just wanted to say it's on the 19th of,
Yeah.
you said it was the 17th.
It's the
I just
19th.
want to make sure he knows it's the 19th.
19th, okay, okay. All right, are there any other questions or information that he needs
Did
from
you-
us?
Did you get to put on your plan the way he was putting your lighting there? I think that was
No,
the
it's-
issue
it's
at
just-
one of these meetings down there.
Yeah, so there's a lighting plan. What do I do with that? So this is a lighting plan. So if you,
That's this one with all the dots on it.
yes. So the W's in the blue text are wall mounted lights. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
sign?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And then there is, the pole lights are S4, S2, S3, or S4. There is a total of 12 of those. Some of them along the access road coming in, and then some of them in the interior portions of the parking islands to light up the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
So the little numbers you see are the light,
How far it will shine away.
how far it'll shine. So when you see 0, that means there's going to be no light in that
Oh, okay.
location.
Okay.
So if you look around the outskirts of the site.
Right, there's no, I see.
Zero,
Yep,
yeah.
yep, very good, very good. Any other questions or information we need from him? So, did you say it could take
Yeah.
several months to get the DEP permits?
Yes.
Okay,
It's supposed to take about 3 months, 3 to 4 months to
Yeah.
get the permit, and I'm hopeful we can get it in that amount of time, but
well, you know, one of the conditions that we would put on would be that those permits have to be attained before you can, yeah.
yep,
Why would we?
Well, if we vote in 2 weeks and put conditions on the plan, traditionally, we say that DEP permits have to be attained.
Right, but that
Just-
wouldn't stop it from starting.
Right, it just
Right.
would be part of the conditions, so, yeah, yeah. Okay. Any other questions or concerns for him?
I'm good.
All right, is there a motion to accept the application for, let me get the right person here. Wait a minute, it's over here, I guess. No sudden moves, or I go flying.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an
Is there a motion to accept the application from Matthew Haskell for the Blaze Brewery on 187 Doles Ridge Road?
I'll make a motion.
Bob made a motion, is there a second? Pete seconded. All in favor? So what will happen now, Andrew, is that on our next meeting on the 19th, you will be on the agenda at 7 o'clock.
okay,
Donna will send out all the abutters notices, I guess you've got them all.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
great,
and we'll advertise as needed, and lots of people may come and nobody may come. We never know until we get here that night.
Yep.
So, and as a general rule, we vote on the application that night unless there's some extremely extenuating circumstances,
great,
so, okay?
great, we appreciate it.
Has
Oh,
he
go ahead.
paid the planning board fee?
Yes, I gave Donna the receipt.
Okay.
Yeah, I took that one by mistake. Instead of, so I gave her the receipts.
Oh, they have to pay another fee.
But we have.
No,
we
no,
have,
I gave you the receipts.
Yeah, you did, I didn't look who it was. so-
Yeah, it's this,
Oh, it's the brewery.
yeah,
Oh. Yes, we,
So all we received from,
I thought we already had that the last meeting.
no,
this-
no,
Okay.
we didn't have any money, yes.
onto the campground, we haven't gotten
Oh.
any formal,
Wait a minute,
other
let's,
than the plans. so
yeah. Wait a minute, let's finish
I
up
thought
here.
he was done.
Yeah, are we done?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
we're done.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Thank you.
Yes.
You have
s-
a business card tonight with you?
I do not, I'm sorry. But
Can
you
you
know what,
bring one
next,
in 2
in
weeks?
2 weeks, I promise I'll bring you one.
So, has he contacted you, Craig, of the campground? What's his name?
Not in a little while, just to say that he's getting his stuff together.
So this is just informational.
So how
He's
did,
not
how did
asking-
this get here?
Can I add
Emailed it?
something to that, Joyce?
Sure.
When I was in a week ago, there was a note on my door to send the butters' names to Ray Marshall, which I did. This week I came in and it says they want map and lot of those people. So I have talked with Ray Marshall. He is getting his DE approval. He thought he would get it today or tomorrow. It's been approved, but he hasn't got it in writing
Getting what approval?
for his Tiedemann
What approval? DEP, did you say?
DEP for Ray Marshall's campground.
Okay, DEP approval, okay.
And he's now decided that, what did I say, are they made out of canvas?
Yurts,
Yurts. He is now going to have RVs there, and he will own the RVs.
Yeah, his definition of an RV.
What he's trying to do is get
He's
stuff
trying
in
to
there
put a
that
tiny
he can
home
rent
in
year
there.
round is what he's
Yeah.
trying to do.
well,
Just what?
he's,
Trying to get stuff in there he can rent year round.
okay, so he hasn't made a formal request for us to accept an application. That's my point.
No,
Okay,
we'll be, wait a minute, what have I got right here?
Well, you just found the.
Yes,
abutters
I
list.
just have them right here.
well, wait a minute. Is he, in order for him to have an application, he has to be here. And we accept the application like we did tonight.
Okay.
So if he wants to present an application, he or one of his representatives needs to be here on the 19th at 7:45, let's say, if they want,
Application for what, Joyce?
for this campground, for this stuff here.
He's already got it approved, all
Yeah.
he's asking for is.
Wait a minute.
He's going to not have yurts.
No, he is, he said he's gonna have yurts and
He's gonna have RVs there.
RVs, geodomes, or yurts for seasonal campsites.
Well, I haven't read this, I just got it tonight, so I
Yeah,
don't
me
know.
too. I haven't read it either.
This is
Yeah.
just for us
All
to
right,
read.
I'm
don't
not
think we
even
can-
going to
we
talk
can't- we
about
can't do
this
anything.
until next week, okay?
Now, does he have to pay a fee to come back for this?
If he,
Because why does he need a butters list if he's not gonna pay? a
right,
fee?
that,
True.
yeah,
I
he
don't know why
doesn't.
needs it.
True.
He's
I'm
Why
already
does
got-
he need a butters list? The only thing
Yeah.
he's trying to do is add RVs to it. But he
Just
is
change it.
changing
Okay,
the
so
road.
he's,
changing the
you know,
road.
he needs to come in here with the plan that was approved and tell us what he's changing, just like
Like
Novell
they-
did.
Yes.
No, he
And
hasn't
until
already.
he comes, no,
He's already showed you what he's
he
changing.
is to come in here and explain what he's doing, and if he,
He's so freaking screwed up, we won't know what he's
yeah,
doing.
I know.
He's changing.
But until
I
he
think
does
he's-
that, this is on the back burner.
I
I
totally
will
agree.
call him, Joyce, to ask if he can come to the next meeting.
Yes,
So there's no fee?
but at this point, no,
Okay.
no, no. We
That's-
just need
that's
to
all I'm
know
worried about,
what's
money.
going on down there. Yeah, money, money, money,
This
honey.
new drawing shows the road coming in his driveway. He doesn't show the road over there by,
Yeah,
On that end?
he just needs to come in and explain it. I'm not talking anymore about it.
You've
until
been
he
about
does
plenty
that.
of time
Okay,
for him.
Go down,
okay.
go.
We've lost it a long time
I
ago.
was as surprised as you, Joyce.
That guy can take a half hour and save 5 minutes.
Right, right.
No,
Okay,
absolutely.
we're going to go to the minutes of March 17th for any corrections. I
I'm
read,
gonna make an announcement. I have not touched these. These are in the same form you
Thank you.
guys have received.
thank you.
I also want to tell you there was 15 to 20 minutes of no audio. So I have pieced together the beginning of the meeting as best as I could.
I
I'll be
didn't,
glad to make
yeah.
any changes you
I don't
want.
think it was bad.
I didn't have any
I have
correct-
one.
Yeah,
You
I
did?
I
Yeah.
had like one
No,
word or
you don't
two.
have any changes?
Me? No, I don't.
Boy,
I,
I'm gonna
actually,
say-
Bob, you're part of
No.
my change.
I had one word I
but
wanted
I
to
gotta-
change. I
people
can't
are
remember
talking.
what
All
it
right,
was.
wait a minute. Victoria spoke first. What changes do you have,
Okay,
Victoria?
on page 2, you listed several people who were,
Under which,
on page 2.
yeah, where? Under-
Under, I can't talk over there.
Hey, guys, hey, come on, please. Let's get
Okay.
this done.
On page 2, there are several people listed that had spoken about different things. Chair Foley, Darrell Hubbard, Bob Jarvis, okay. I, at that meeting, had asked about the lighting for the parking area, as well as lights going up the access road, and at that time, he had stated that he would address that thoroughly, which he has done, but he did state that I had asked about it.
Okay.
Bob, you may not remember this, but you also said, well, it's very dark out there, and
Yep.
it definitely needs some lighting. So we
I-
both
I
had spoken
did.
about the
Okay,
lighting at that meeting.
So you could add Victoria's paragraph about the question concerning
And
the
then
You
lighting.
wanted parking, lights for parking?
I had asked about lighting for the parking area, as well as lights going up the access road to the brewery. And then Bob had said that it's extremely dark out there and it would definitely need to be addressed, and he said, yes, I'll address that.
Okay. I can add that.
Any other corrections?
Like I said, I did domestic
Oh,
growing.
yeah, myself. I think he tells us anything we want to hear.
But Bob, did you have another correction to, we're
No,
on the
I did.
minutes
I
right now.
actually left it home and it was so inconsequential.
Okay.
it didn't
Are there any more corrections to the minutes of March 17th?
Grace, you got anything?
I do not.
All right,
If you knew how many hours I struggled on these.
okay. We appreciate that.
It is
But
for
I got it
sure,
done.
Yeah, yes.
and you did a good job,
Yeah.
so it's all set.
All right, so is there a motion to accept the minutes of March 17th as corrected?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Bob seconded, all in favor? Okay, we're done with that. Okay, the other thing is, I sent you from Jensen Baird, from Ben, and I don't necessarily want, it's 20 after 8, so we don't need to go into this, but at the next meeting, or the first meeting in June, we need to just go over these corrections. I think they're pretty straightforward, and just put this thing to bed finally.
Yep.
And so let's say that it looks like next meeting might be, fairly full. So let's say that we'll discuss this the first meeting in June. Can you hand me this so I don't fall off my chair? The calendar. No, just, no.
That's the second?
This calendar, right here, that's it.
June 2nd
To discuss changes to the.
You like it?
would be June 2nd.
Our next meeting will be,
Was that green?
when we discuss this, will be at the June 2nd meeting. Okay? And it won't take much, but, okay.
That to do with games?
Yeah, but we'll talk about that then, yeah. All right, so the other thing is that we need to elect a chairperson. Oop, I'm gonna slide. No, I'm not gonna slide. So, open the floor to who wants to be chairman.
Oh.
What's what?
We need
We
to,
haven't had
we haven't had our
elections.
board elections,
Well, I'm
so,
gonna nominate Joyce Foley.
So we need a chairman, is that what
yeah,
we're saying?
yeah, Bob is,
Nominate Joy.
okay,
Bob is gonna be chairman?
no, no. Bob made the,
Bob nominated
Bob
Joyce.
made the motion and Darrell seconded it,
I'll third it.
so,
Nominate Joyce.
thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor? Okay, thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
Is that all in favor? I didn't need a second?
And the raising.
There was a
yeah.
Not
second.
second,
It got
Who was
seconded.
second?
Darrell
I-
was
Darrell
second.
seconded it.
yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Do we know who the town,
They haven't made the announcement
okay,
yet.
I was wondering about that,
Yeah.
okay.
They might make it Thursday if
Yeah.
you watch the
Yeah.
select board meeting, we'll
Yeah.
see.
They
Do you
pro-
know
they
something we
probably-
don't?
I do not.
Okay.
Nope.
Joyce, do we need to do a vice chair too, or no?
Yes,
Do we?
yes. I nominate Bob as vice chair, I forgot that.
I second it.
Okay,
Victoria seconded.
I third it.
All in favor?
okay.
Aye.
Darrell,
He's putting his hand up.
Victoria, you
Yeah.
seconded that?
yes,
Yeah, and everybody was in favor.
even though
They
everybody
don't
was
know what's
talking.
going on, but it's all good.
No idea.
That's their problem. Okay,
You're doing better with the microphone.
Excuse me, I'm
You were
sorry.
tied
All
up
right.
over there, we just
Did you hear that, Bob?
just elected you vice chair.
We off air?
They did it without.
all right, wait a minute, guys. We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
Bob made the motion to adjourn.
Who Bob does? Okay.
Anybody seconding
I'll
it?
second it.
Any second?